All right, so we got to talk about Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. I saw it last night, and I want to give you guys my honest take and opinion very briefly. But in this video, I want to talk about the ending. Okay, the ending. A lot of people found it controversial. I also found it very controversial, and it was, everything leading up to that point. Personally, for me, I kind of enjoyed the movie. Obviously, there's a lot of flaws. Obviously, they had a lot of issues. But honestly, I can't really blame them because I can definitely see that they were setting a lot of things up for Leia, and Carrie Fisher unfortunately passed away. And then we had Ryan Johnson's episode, which was completely retconned in this movie. By the way, if you haven't watched it, it's really retcons this movie. It's almost like this movie had to jam pack two movies into one. Like this felt like episode 8 and 9 put together, and The Last Jedi just didn't exist. So I can't really get too mad at them. I think we got the best case scenario with what we got. I think obviously it could have been a little bit better. But obviously, no Star Wars movie is absolutely perfect. Even the original trilogy, there's some issues with that, some minor things. But here's how I feel they could have stuck the landing with the ending because I was the only person in the theater that yelled no when she said she was Rey Skywalker. That was the part that kind of made me think like, oh man, you had this climactic ending. I mean, obviously, I feel like Palpatine should have died in a different way, but I can't change that. So her taking up the Skywalker name, I can see it for two reasons. The first reason is Rey, has no family anymore. She was born as a Palpatine. That's something that she's renounced, something that she hates about herself. And it kind of seems like Luke and Leia were almost like her parents that she never had. Kind of similar to how Kylo Ren said, Han Solo was the father she never had, right? So the thing is about that is that it's kind of like an adoptive situation, right? Where Rey was adopted by the Skywalkers. So I guess that kind of makes sense. But on the other hand, she isn't really a Skywalker because she's a Palpatine, right? She's a Palpatine. She's one of the most evil people. Her father and her grandfather is one of the most evil people in the galaxy. And then I was really thinking about this concept, and I was like, wait a minute. The Skywalkers were also really bad people. Darth Vader was a Skywalker. Darth Vader was one of the worst Skywalkers ever, right? He killed so many people. He made the Jedi become extinct. And Luke redeemed the Skywalker name by taking that name. He didn't change it to, I'm a Luke Kenobi, right? He didn't say that. He said, I am Luke Skywalker, right? So the thing is with Luke is that Luke actually redeemed the Skywalker name because the Skywalker name was and for a lot of reasons, it was pretty bad. Like people feared that name. So here's how I feel like they should have ended it. They should have ended with Rey saying, I'm Rey, and then, the old lady asks, who are you? She says, I'm Rey Palpatine, right? And, that would have been a shock to the lady, but then at the same time, it would have been like, okay, but even though I'm a Palpatine, I'm going to change it. I'm going to be a Jedi Knight Palpatine, right? Like, I know that sounds weird. It might sound silly, but like, I feel like that would have been better. That would have changed the bloodline of Palpatine being all evil and all Sith to, light side. And that would be really interesting to see a generation of Palpatines that were good, not a generation that was bad, because we don't really know too much about Palpatine's backstory. I know that George Lucas had plans to explain that in a series where Palpatine was actually in love with someone, and this woman betrayed him, and that's how he became a dark side user. I mean, kind of twisted way of doing it, but I can see that happening. So I think that if she said that she was a Palpatine and is stuck with it, and just realized I have to change my family name, kind of like how Luke did, the movie would have ended better. It would have not had so much controversy because up to this point, I liked it. I really liked the Kylo Ren redemption part. I mean, I think it was a little bit rushed. Obviously, the thing with this movie is that I can't really hate on it too much. I'm not really blaming J.J. Abrams. I'm not blaming any of the people who worked on this movie. I'm blaming Ryan Johnson on Last Jedi because he completely derailed this, and Kathleen Kennedy allowing that to happen completely derailed this whole trilogy. This whole episode would have been more satisfactory if they had other things leading up to it. Like you can even tell in the opening credits, like they started with explaining what has happened as if we already know what's going on. The Emperor's just there, and we don't have any explanation why. And I feel like if they had a really good setup in Episode 8, and I was talking about this with some family, that scene in the mirror in Last Jedi, like obviously the majority of that movie had to change, but if you take that one scene where she asks who my parents are, and then she sees Palpatine in that reflection, that would be the biggest WCF moment ever, right? That would be the biggest WTF moment ever, especially if they play the the Palpatine theme as you see that mirror coming together and it shows him. That would have been people so excited for the next episode because it would have revealed it already, obviously, but it would have been like, oh my gosh, we actually got the answer, and this is not the answer we expected. Now, we all expected this answer because we read the leaks, right? So many people read the leaks. I read the leaks because I didn't even think they were true, and I'm kind of mad. I wish I didn't read it because I wish I would have been more surprised. But that's my thought on this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button, and I'll talk to you guys later.